Good morning, everyone. This is Bremster, and I'm here with another puzzle for everyone. This is an anti-night puzzle. I'd specifically gone looking for an anti-night puzzle, and I was looking through the Cracking the Cryptic Discord server, and this is one that had popped up recently that had got a few solves and it had been commented on to be very good. I have not solved this puzzle. This is A Little Night Music by Jackson Griggs. So I reached out to Jackson and asked if I could do this puzzle as a video, and Jackson responded and said that I could. So I'm looking forward to this one. Because all of the feedback had been good, what I was looking for was a puzzle that would demonstrate, that I could use to demonstrate how night move works, but not be so diabolically difficult that I wouldn't be able to, or, that I would have to go too deep down a rabbit hole. I wanted to find a puzzle that would show the interesting stuff that Knight's Moves restrictions could do, but that I wouldn't have to sit here for 2 hours trying to figure out. And the feedback on this is that it was approachable but challenging, but not diabolical. So this is about what I was looking for. I have not solved this puzzle before, as I said, I think, so I'm really looking forward to doing this. So the way anti-night puzzles work is normal Sudoku rules apply. So in each box, row, and column, the numbers 1 to 9 must exist without repetition, but also in the grid, no digit can be a knight's move apart from itself. So if I use this 2 as an example, then if I move up and across 2 spots, this cell could not be a 2. By normal Sudoku rules, it could. Similarly, this cell could not be a 2, this cell could not be a 2, this cell could not be a 2, and all that cell could not be a 2. All of the others are covered, like these 2 are already covered by normal Sudoku rules by being in the same box, and that one's a 6. But all of these cells cannot be a 2 because they are 2 in one direction and 1 in the other direction away from the starting square, and that's the case for every digit in this grid. So we have to keep that in mind when we're solving. So the plan is to now use that extra constraint to try and figure out how we can solve this grid. So let's see if we can do that. I will provide, of course, links below for people who wish to try this puzzle on their own. Yeah, thank you again to Jackson for providing this puzzle. And let's see if we can do it. So the first thing I notice is 8s are restricted to those 2 cells by normal Sudoku. And 8s are restricted to those 2 cells by normal Sudoku. Now, I'm sure the knight's constraint is going to be important very quickly, but I'm hunting. So by normal Sudoku, 2 is restricted out of those cells in this box, but this 2 sees that cell as well. So that puts 2 only in those 2 cells, which restricts 2 to these 2 cells because these 2 own this row, and this 2 knocks it out of those. So it can't be there, and this 2 also sees that cell. So that puts a 2 there. 2 now is in one of those. I don't like marking 3. This might also be a good puzzle because I'm not sure if I've done a classic to indicate why I do pencil, well, those 8s knock out that. I should put this in. Why I do pencil marking like I do, and I just used it there. When you put pencil marking in a corner, what you are doing is you are marking that these are the only places, and you normally do it just for boxes, where that digit can go. So what I've narrowed it down to is 8 cannot go anywhere else in this box other than those 2 cells. If you see me ever use center pencil marks like that, what that is indicating is no other digit than 2, 5, or 6 can go in that cell. I'm not indicating that 2, 5, or 6 could go anywhere else in this box. I'm not indicating that this is the only position it can go. What I'm indicating is, because 2 can't go there, but what I'm indicating is they are the only possible digits that can go in that cell. And that's the standard notation that is used by most solvers. So what you're normally looking for with Knight's constraints is digits that are close to other boxes, so that you are getting the extra restrictions by Knight's moves, although that's just a standard Sudoku constraint, which puts 3 up there, which locks 3 in, because so 3 in this column is seen by those, so 3 has to go in one of those two, that 3 sees that one. Forcing 3 into one of those 3, that 3 sees there, so it forces 3 into one of those 2. 3 can't go there or in one of those. And this 3 sees there, so that puts 3 into one of those 2. So, okay. So these 3s knock 3 out of there, that 3 knocks 3s out of there, that 3 knocks out of there. That is a 2-3 pair. Um, 8 and 8 puts 8 in one of those, but 8 can't be there for multiple reasons, so that's a pair of 8s. These are often just tricks in scanning early on, so that's where I'm often let down. That's not seen by anything. 4, it's too far away. So 4 is in one of those 2 because of the 2 4s looking into box 7. It can also be quite hard to spot naked singles in Knight's move, because you'll often, scanning rows and columns, miss a Knight move looking into a particular cell. So 1, no. So 6 is in one of those. 8 can't be there or there. Just trying to see if there's anything obvious before I start having to look at digits very specifically. Okay, so this 2 and 3, if I was to put either 2 or 3 into this cell, that cell sees that cell by normal Sudoku and that cell by Knight's move. So I can't put 2 or 3 in there. That puts 3 into one of those 2 cells, because these 2 cells are seen by that 3, that cell is seen by that 3, and that is seen by one of those. So that puts 3 into one of those, which takes 3 out of there, and that becomes a 3. Doesn't seem to be the same sort of thing happening with 2. 2 seems to be able to go in any of those. Two can't go there. Okay. This 2 and this 2, between them, see all of those and that cell. So 2 is in the top up there. So 2 is in one of those 2 cells, but that 2 sees there. So that becomes a 2. Now in this box, 2 has to be in one of those. So that becomes a 2, that becomes a 4. With that being a 2, we've knocked 2 out of there and there. Still not very restricted. 2 can't be there or there. Not sure. What are these? 5, 6, and 9, which are not seen by anything. Seven is the only 7 is way down in the corner. So I'm not sure if that's going to be particularly useful yet. Digits like 6 look like they would be more useful. Oh, that 6 and that 6 puts 6 into one of those two, which puts 6 into, because that row is now taken up and that row is taken up, puts 6 into one of those two. That 6 sees that cell, that becomes a 6. 6 now can't be there or there, so 6 is in one of those two. 6 there and there. No. 6 can't be there. No, I've already got the 8s marked. What am I looking at? 1 can't be there or there. 4 can't be in any of those. So 4 has to be in one of those two, which knocks 4 out of all of those. And 4 can't be there. So 4 is knocked out of there by those, and 4 is knocked out of there. So that puts 4 into one of those 3, and that cell knocks out that one, and that 4 knocks out that one. So that is a 4. 4 is now in here, but it can't be in that one, so those become a 4. And 4 is also in those two because of that 4 and that 4. So between these, those 4s, actually they're given because that 4 sees that cell. So that's a 4, that's not a 4, that's not a 4, that's a 4. So now 4 is up here, but it can't be in that cell because that sees there, and that cell because that's also seen by there. So the 4 goes right there, puts 4 in the top of those. So now I've got 4s everywhere except those 4 cells, and those are not seen by anything. Okay, but I have got most of the 4s in the grid. And this is where you've got to watch out for those knight's move constraints. I'm enjoying this puzzle. Okay, I've got everything but 3 digits in this column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9. Not a lot of those. Got 3s down here. I'm looking at 2s again. 2 can't be there, can't be there. Where does 2 go in this row? 2 can't go there, 2 can't go there, so 2 must be in one of those 2 cells because these 2, 3 did knock 2 out of here, and this can't be a 2 because there's a 2 in the box and 2 can't be here. So 2 is in one of those 2 cells. So that puts 2 down the bottom here, and this becomes another 2, 3 pair because that 2 sees that cell. This is going to have to be, this would normally be a deadly pattern in normal Sudoku, but I'm assuming at some point a 2 or a 3, probably from here, will look in on these and resolve that pattern. maybe I need, okay, so 1 is looking down here, so 1 needs to be in one of those two. And this is where I might need to start doing some of what I do highlighting for to be able to visualize better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this now, is I'm going to highlight in green all of the cells by just normal Sudoku that can be 1. And that's going to be a lot of cells. And I don't know that 1 is the correct digit to look at. But from what I can tell, they are all the cells that can be 1. I can knock that one out because it sees that one. Oh, that one can't. I can see that sees that 1 by knight's move. Now, this cell cannot be a 1 because it sees there's only 2 possible positions in box 9 for a 1, and that cell sees that 1 by normal Sudoku and that 1 by knight's move. So if that was a 1, there would be no 1 in box 9. So that cannot be a 1. Similarly, this now cannot be a 1 because there are 3 possible positions in box 8 for a 1, and if I was to put a 1 here, there would be no 1 in box 8. So this has to be the 1 in box 9, which means I will unhighlight all of those as candidates because this is now a 1. That is not a candidate anymore. That is not a candidate anymore. And that becomes the 1 in box 6. And this is how I visualize knight's move. It may not be the most efficient way, but it gets me there. So this one, it's forcing into one of those two. Trying to see if there's any other obvious restriction. And there might be that I'm missing. That might be as far as I can take the 1s at the moment. But we did get a couple of 1s out of that. So I'm not upset with that. And if people with better scanning might do better jobs at this. Now, there are 3 digits missing from this row now, which are 5, 6, and 9. That can't be a 5, so that becomes a 6, 9. That can't be a 6. But unfortunately, because there's no 9s in the grid, unless a 5 or a 6 looks at one of these cells, I'm not doing any more eliminations. These are 6, 7, and 9. The only 7 is all the way over there. Five can't be there, but it can be in all of those. 7 can be in all of those. 9 can be in all of those. Okay, I'm going to use this highlighting. So we've got 2 there, 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 and there. Oops. In those cells. I don't think that's going to give me anything. 3s can go there, 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 and there. That's almost the same as 2s. What we do know is whichever one of these comes true is going to resolve the others. 4 is there, and that's it. There's only 1 5 in the grid, so this is unlikely to do anything. So I'm going to jump to 6, because we do have some 6s in the grid. So 6 can go in those 2 cells. 6 can go in those. Actually, it can't go in those because of that 6. 6 is in one of those 2. 6 is in one of those 3. 6 is in one of those 4. And 6 is in one of those 3. So 6 is limited. Is it limited in a way that is going to give me anything? Because there's often knight's moves tricks, and I can see them. I find I see them more clearly if I highlight the possible candidates of a particular digit. Okay, that can't be a 6 because it's seen on a knight's move. So let's look at the 6s on the grid. That doesn't see any of the ones I've highlighted. That doesn't. That did, but doesn't now. Yeah, sixes is not going anywhere. Eights maybe? Eight is there. Eight is there. Eight is in one of those three. Eight is in one of those four. Eight is in one of those three. I'm missing something here. Normally patterns like this are good because they would eliminate these two cells, see those two cells. So you could do an elimination, but those two cells are already eliminated by that. And, these two cells both see those, for example, but they're already eliminated. No, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking for here. Okay, one is down here, and it can't be in the middle. So one is in one of those two, because that one sees the middle cell. Let's do ones again. I thought I'd started with ones, but maybe I missed something. Ones. No, I did start with ones. These are 5, 7, and 9. Maybe I am going to have to look at 1 is up there. 7, 5, it looks to be the most restricted of them. So let's do something a little silly and look at all the possible spots for 5. Well, that can't be a 5. So actually 5 is a little more restricted than I thought. So let's look at all the possible spots for 5 and see if anything jumps out at us. So again, I'm highlighting all of the ones by Sudoku, and then I will remove all of the ones that see this by Knight's Move, which I think was all of those. There's only 2 possibilities for 5 there, so that cannot be a 5 because that sees both of those. It gets me down to 2 possible spots for 5 in this box. This cannot be a 5 because this sees all 3 cells in box 6. So this cannot be a 5, which means 5 is limited to those 2 cells, which means that cannot be a 5. Now there's only one place for 5 left in row 2. Because why have I not got 5 there? Did I just forget to put 5 in both? Oh no, 5 can't be there because of those 2. So there's now only one place left for 5 in row 2, and that becomes a 5. And that's really nice Knight's Move play. So this cell was eliminated by the position of those, which then bounced back and eliminated that. The Knight's Move constraint here in this box eliminated it down to there, taking it out of there, and forces 5 into that cell. That's really nice. That takes 5 out of all of those. So 1 5 in the grid forces a 5 into the other side of the grid. That takes the 5 out of there by Knight's Move, makes that a pair of 5s, taking 5 out of there and forcing the 5 into there, forcing the 5 into there and taking the 5 out of there. These are all now not, well, they've got 5s in them rather than being 5 candidates. Those 2 5s take 5 out of there. The only place, well, this now sees that can't be a 5. That's a 7-9 pair, so that's a 5. That is not a 5. So I can take the 5 out of there and out of there. That 5 sees that. So we've now got a 7-9 pair in the column. Wow, 5s were amazing. That forces 5 into there because there were only 2 candidates and that sees one of them. So all of those get cleaned up. And 5 is now in one of those two and in one of those two. Are either any of those seen by existing 5s? Seems not. But 5s were very effective there. So from 1 5 in the grid, we've gone to having 7 5s in the grid. Not bad. Very nicely designed. We've got 7-9 pairs all over the place. I'm really tempted to look at 7s now because I'll turn all the green off. 7s in those boxes must go there. 7 is looking a lot less effective, but then again, I wasn't comfortable with what 5s were doing, so what do I know? 7s in those, 7s in... As I said, I'm highlighting everything and I will then eliminate. Now, 7 is a lot less powerful because it's hiding in this corner. So literally it sees nothing by knight's move. Those two see that, so that's not doing anything. Those two see that cell, so that's not very effective either. So it doesn't look like 7s are going to get me very far. But there might be something in here I'm missing. So here's a cell I can remove. So this can't be a 7 because there's only 2 7s in this row and that is in the same box and that sees that one by knight's move. So that couldn't be a 7. Now that would remove that cell, but that's already a 5 because that cell sees all of the candidates in that box. That cell can't be a 7 because that sees all of the candidates in that box. That cell can't be a 7 because it sees both of the candidates in that box. I'm just whittling away at options here to see if I can get anywhere. And it's very, very possible I can't. I'm probably missing something much more obvious in this grid. And if that's the case, I apologize to Jackson for not doing very well on his puzzle. But I really enjoyed looking for knight's move constraints this way. And let's face it, people who record videos tend to have a tendency to miss obvious things in the grid while they're recording. No, this does not seem to be getting me anywhere. And if there is some... Oh, hang on. Those 2 cells... No, they're not. They would both see those, but they're already not 7s. Okay. So, what am I looking at? 7, 9. 7 up there, which I've just finished looking at 7s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So this is either 7 or 9. So I'm only missing 6, 7, and 9 from this column. So this is 6, 7, or 9. And this is 7 or 9 because this sees a 6 and this sees a 6. So the only place in this row a 6 can go is there. So now this is not a 6. 6 must be in one of those two. Do I now look at 6s again? So 6s are in one of those two, one of those 3, one of those here we go. 6s. So that cell is seen by both of those. So we've got that down the bottom of the grid. That there. and those two cells at the top of the grid. I was wanting a quick intro, and this isn't the puzzle, this is me. Not scanning very well. One, one, one. 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 What I'm kind of looking for are places where digits are looking in and eliminating options in the next box. And they're almost certainly there, but I am not seeing them. Or where I am seeing them, those boxes are already restricted. So these are 5, 7, and 9. There's not a single 9 in the grid. How can 9 be restricted? I'm going to look at it anyway. 9 can pretty much... Actually, no, 9 can't be anywhere. Because we've found some pairs that contain 9. So they're the obvious candidates for 9. Like those two cells, for example, see that cell. So that can't be a 9. That can't be a 9. Those two cells see that, so that can't be a 9. Those two cells see that, so that can't be a 9. Oh, is there something here? Like if I could eliminate 9 from there. I feel I'm failing Jackson quite badly here. Okay, so in here I have to put 6 in here. These are 4, 7, 8, 9. That can't be 8. That can't be 4. That is a 4, 7, 9 triple. So that's a 5. That is not a 5. That is a 7, 9 pair. So if that is a 9, that can't be a 9. If that's a 9, that can't be a 9. That becomes a 6. That becomes a 9. That becomes a 6. That 9 sees both of those cells, but that just forces 9 into one of those. That 6 makes that a 6 and that not a 6. 6 is now there, and that's all fine. That felt like I was starting to see something. So if this is a 479 triple, this is a different triple, which is, oh, hang on, that 5 is making that a 5. So this triple is 1, 3, and 8. That can't be 3. That can't be 8. Or 1. So that's a 3. 3, 3, 3 is now there. That is not a 3. 1, 8 pair. That 3 is seeing that 2, 3 pair. I said that this would be resolved by something, making that a 3 and a 2. There's 1, 7, 8, 9. That's actually 1, 8. That 9 is seeing that, though that becomes a 7. That becomes a 9. I can take 9 out of all of those. This looks like it's still resisting, and again, that 7 is seeing that, which is seeing that, which is seeing that. I take 9 out of both of those. That's a 178 triple. That becomes the 9. There is no 9 there. This becomes a 4-7 pair. That can no longer be a 7 because it would see either by normal, and neither of those could be a 7, and it would need to be, making that an 8. This becomes a 4-7 pair at the top of the grid. That 4-7 pair means one of those has to be a 7. I'm not sure which. That 4-7 pair makes that a 9 and that a 7. This was very well put together to not just collapse, which, having tried to design a couple of Knight's Move puzzles, I've tended to find that, hang on, this is 169. That can't be a 1 or a 9, that's a 6. So that's a 1-9 pair. Having tried to design some Night Move puzzles, I've found it incredibly difficult to try and design them so that they don't just collapse with a couple of deductions made, or be so difficult to find the clues because they're just, you need to do what I was doing with the colouring, but you need to sort of eliminate a cell and then another and then another and then another. Doing good flow in a Knight's Move puzzle is incredibly challenging. And hats off to anyone who does a good job. And this seems to have been a good job. At least I've enjoyed it. So these are 1, 8, and 9, which means because of this, that can't be a 9 because 9 has to go into those two cells in this column. Looking for Knight's Moves, looking in on them. That 8 is looking at that cell, so that becomes a 1. That becomes an 8. There is no 8 in there, so that becomes the 8. These are 1, 7 and 9. Again, we do have to have the 7 looking in there. This is 1, 7, 8 and 9. So the 6 that is missing must go there. So these are 1, 2 and 9. That can't be 1. And the 9 is looking at it as well. That's the 2. So there is a 1, 7, 9 triple. So that becomes the 2. That is not a 2. I think that's all the 2s in the grid. And now there will be a knight's move constraint that causes this to collapse, I'm assuming. That 7 is looking there, taking 7 out of there. 1, 8 pair makes that a 7, makes that an 8, makes that a 7. That 8 is looking at that cell, making that a 1, making that an 8. That 7 is looking up, making that a 9. We now have a 1, 9 pair. Having it that it's not just the knight's moves, that you're actually using the combination of knight's moves and pointing pairs. I do like this puzzle. Ooh. I have a bad deadly pattern and I need to find that 9 looking in on it. That becomes a 1, that becomes a 9, that becomes a 1, that becomes a 9, that becomes a 9, and we finish it with that 1, except I forgot to do that. Oh, good ending ruined. So that's a Little Night Music by Jackson Griggs. Moderately slowly solved by me, but I thought that puzzle was very interestingly done. I really liked the way that it was some nice chains of knight's moves, but didn't require going down rabbit holes of looking for night move, Y wings, or things like that, which you sometimes see where people try and make it challenging. But it also, at no point did it just collapse, although that could have been me. I really like that puzzle. Thank you, Jackson, for letting me do it. I hope you gave that one a go because it was very much worthwhile. And I look forward to seeing more of Jackson's puzzles. If you liked this or liked the puzzle, please feel free to throw the like on the video. To see more of these, feel free to subscribe. I'm hoping to do sort of 3 or 4 videos a week. And thank you very much for watching.